In the savage kingdom, the ultimate predators. Never stop fighting. The animals fight for territory, fight to mate, fight to hunt, and above all, they fight for survival. Yellowstone early autumn. This is the kingdom of the grizzly bear, one of the most powerful predators on the planet. An adult male grizzly can charge at 50 kilometers per hour. Its bite can crush a bowling ball. Dense muscle in shoulders and hindquarters delivers a fatal swipe. That strength comes from salmon. Each day, a grizzly can eat 40 salmon. Around 100,000 calories, roughly 20 large pizzas. To prepare for winter, they must reach peak weight. And to reach that weight, they must fight their own kind. In early 2024, U.S. scientists recorded the grizzly population in the greater Yellowstone ecosystem had recovered to roughly 1,050 individuals, 8 times the count when the species was first listed for protection. A rare comeback story. But 2025 recorded another troubling figure. 72 grizzlies dead, the highest on record, 35% above the 10-year average. The petition to delist the grizzly was rejected once again. They have recovered, but they are not yet safe. 40% of grizzly cubs do not survive their first winter. Most are killed by mountain lions, wolves, or, most tragically, taken by adult male grizzlies of their own kind. And so, in Yellowstone, nothing is more ferocious than a grizzly mother defending her young. Today, one grizzly mother, the veteran, is teaching her 2 cubs to fish. This is their first lesson in survival. At the same moment, another grizzly mother, larger, greedier, hungrier, charges in to claim the salmon veteran has just tossed onto the bank. The intruder takes the prize and carries it back to her own cubs. The veteran erupts. She rises on her hind legs, over 3 meters tall, and roars. The sound rolls through the valley. This is no longer about a meal. This is a mother's dignity. Two grizzly mothers clash in the shallow river. Their forelimbs deliver crushing force. A grizzly can flip stones heavier than 100 kilograms with a single paw to hunt insects. The skin around an adult grizzly's neck is 20 times thicker than human skin. The rival counters with a head slam, knocking the veteran into the water. Neither will retreat, neither strong enough for the knockout. But veteran sees what matters more. If she continues and is wounded, who will care for the cubs? The fight is over. The veteran returns to her cubs empty-handed. That night, she has nothing to feed them. But the salmon run still has many days ahead, and she is still here. On the Yellowstone plains, one mother just lost a battle to save 3 lives, but she is not the only giant tonight gambling with her bloodline. Half a world away, in the Masai Mara, 2 brothers share a kingdom. Until a single lioness walks in and forces them to ask the oldest question. Is blood really thicker than desire? Among all big cats, only lions live in family groups. And in a pride, the most sacred bond is between brothers. As they mature, they leave the natal pride and walk the bachelor road together. Years of wandering, hunger, and learning to survive before they are strong enough to take a pride of their own. According to the Mara Predator Conservation Program, lion density in the Masai Mara is stable at 16.5 lions per 100 square kilometers. Among the most famous male coalitions today are the Sopa Boys, 4 brothers, Mandavu II, Oldorop, Lentum, and Lenchata, now ruling 2 large prides along the Sand River. Coalitions of 2 or 3 brothers survive 2 to 3 times longer than solo males, especially in the dry season. Brotherhood is a survival strategy. But tonight, here in the Masai Mara, that bond is being tested. 2 brothers, Broken Tail and Little Bro, took a pride of 12 lionesses together 2 dry seasons ago. Broken Tail is the dominant male. He has the right to mate with every lioness in the pride. His brother's role is to protect the pride, to hunt, to drive off intruders, but not to mate with any lioness in the pride. Until today, a young lioness has just come into estrus. She slips away from the pride into the thickets at the edge of the territory. Little Bro watches her go. For one moment, he forgets who he is. 20 minutes later, Broken Tail wakes. A scent that should not be there, not at this moment. When Broken Tail appears, Little Bro is close to his favorite lioness. A frozen moment. The 2 brothers look at each other as 2 males about to kill one another. Broken Tail strikes first. Four-centimeter claws slash toward his brother's face. A full-force swipe from a male lion can generate up to 10,000 newtons. Both tumble to the red earth. Legs, claws, teeth, everything is used. This is a fight where both know one mistake can mean death. But in the final grapple, Broken Tail does something unexpected. He does not bite the throat. He pins Little Bro to the ground with his full weight, a dominant shove. Then he stands, steps back, and lets out a soft growl. A pardon. In that gaze there is shame, and there is forgiveness. Sometimes brotherhood must come before everything else, even when blood has been spilled. Family bonds run deep, but when tested, blood can still flow. Tonight, Broken Tail and Little Bro are still brothers, but never quite the same as before. On the Masai Mara, two brothers have just crossed the breaking point of family. But half a world away, in Yellowstone, a different kind of family enters the night. A 30-pound bison calf has just been separated from the herd, and a wolf stands 5 meters away. Yellowstone is not only the kingdom of the grizzly, it is also the home of the bison. An adult bull bison is 6 times heavier than the largest wolf. A single head slam carries 10 times the kinetic force of an American football player. But a bison calf is different. A newborn weighs only 15 kilograms and runs no faster than an adult human. Its horns will not fully grow for another 7 years. And in Yellowstone, a calf's first-year survival rate is only 50%. A coin toss. The Yellowstone bison population now numbers around 5,300 per August 2025 data. This is the only purebred wild bison population in the United States. After wolves were reintroduced to Yellowstone in 1995, the balance between predator and prey was restored. But 2025 recorded a striking figure. The Yellowstone wolf population has fallen nearly 30% in a single year due to disease and conflict between packs. Tonight, predator pressure is shifting, and a lone wolf must hunt alone. His name is Loner. He has no pack, hungry, tired. He tracks a herd of bison along the Lamar River. A heavy rain fell last night, and the current runs stronger than usual. Bison do not turn back. That is the herd's ruthless rule. The calf is pushed onto a narrow sandbar in the river. Night falls. For the first time in its life, it sleeps alone, without its mother's scent, without the herd's warmth. By morning, Loner appears on the sandbar. A wolf's sense of smell is 100 times sharper than a human's. He had picked up the calf's scent from 2 kilometers away. Little Hump stands up. No weapons at all, but it has one thing: instinct. It lowers its head and charges the predator, a head-down charge like the bulls it has watched 100 times. But the courage does not surprise the wolf. He drives hard at the throat. The young calf fights to avoid the bites, but a fatal bite is only a matter of time. With a bite force reaching 500 kilograms force, a wolf can pierce hide and break bone. And then from the far bank, a sound rolls in. Hooves on stone. Mama Bison. She has crossed 2 bends of the river. She has come back for her calf. Loner is too late to run, but he is still a hungry, cunning predator. Loner does not need a second hit. Tonight in Yellowstone, a rule has been broken. A mother has done what the whole herd would not. Yellowstone teaches mothers to stand and fight. But on other parts of the planet, the greatest battle is not between mother and predator. It is between two armored warriors on a river older than the dinosaurs. Northern Territory, the far north of Australia, the East Alligator River drifts slowly beneath a burning sun. This is the kingdom of the largest reptile on Earth, the saltwater crocodile. An adult male saltwater crocodile can exceed 5 meters in length and weigh over 1 ton. Teeth 7 centimeters long, sharp as scalpels. But the real weapon is not in the teeth. A study by Erickson and colleagues in the Journal of Zoology found a 5.2 meter saltwater crocodile bites with 16,000 Newton of force. The strongest bite of any living animal ever measured in a laboratory. To picture it, escaping those jaws is equivalent to lifting a pickup truck. The crocodile's back is covered in rows of raised scales. Inside lie osteoderms, hard plates of bone embedded in the skin, acting as a shield. Even the strongest bite struggles to pierce this armor. But the neck and limbs have no osteoderms, and every rival knows the weakness. By 1971, after decades of unchecked hunting, the Northern Territory population had fallen to roughly 3,000 individuals. The species was on the brink of extinction. After protection laws were passed that same year, a slow but steady recovery began. By 2024, in the top end alone, the population had recovered 30-fold. Each year, around 70 crocodiles are captured and relocated from Darwin Harbor to reduce conflict with humans. High density means fierce competition. Today, on a narrow stretch of river, two giant crocodiles meet, the king and the knight. The knight is the resident. He has held this stretch for 8 dry seasons. Every morning, he climbs the same rock to bask in the sun. From that perch, he can watch every fish that passes and every female that comes to nest. This is the most valuable asset a male crocodile can hold. The king arrives from downstream, larger, older, hungrier. Mating season is near, and he needs prime territory. The knight moves first. The king dodges, swings his tail into the rival's flank, a blow strong enough to break a spine. His teeth pierce the soft skin where the osteoderm armor does not reach. Red blood mixes with brown mud, but the king does not yield. Whoever holds breath longest wins. A saltwater crocodile can hold its breath underwater for 45 minutes, but during a struggle, that drops to just 10. In the darkness below, the king performs the most brutal technique in the crocodile playbook, the death roll. This is the twist crocodiles use to tear flesh from bone, and it can shatter a rival's limb. The knight feels one foreleg about to tear free. He thrashes, bites back, and suddenly releases. The king rises to breathe. The knight surfaces too, but blood flows from his neck, and one foreleg hangs limp. For a crocodile, the loss of a foreleg means no more hunting. It means starvation within weeks. The knight retreats. He swims slowly downstream, leaving the rock to the king. A kingdom has changed hands. A knight has just lost his first fight in 8 years. There are no heroes in this fight, only survivors. And sometimes survival also means defeat. This story applies not only to Australia's giants, but also to the Nile crocodile in Africa. As ectotherms, a basking spot is more than a lookout. It is where the most efficient hunting machine warms itself. Any contest over it can escalate quickly. And the savannah is where the predators rule. The cheetah is the fastest land mammal. In a 4-second burst, a cheetah can hit 114.4 kilometers per hour in ideal conditions. But that speed comes at a cost. A cheetah lacks the strength of a lion, the jaws of a leopard, the stamina of a hyena. Their bones are light and fragile. On the northern edge of the Masai Mara, one cheetah mother, Shira, stands between two choices, and neither one is good. Shira has 4 cubs, 6 weeks old, 4 hungry mouths. The mother has not eaten in 3 days. She could keep hunting small antelope, but the meat is too little. Or she could go farther, beyond her range, to find wildebeest. A kill that could feed the family for a week. She chooses wildebeest. It is a choice that could kill all 5 cheetahs. According to the Cheetah Conservation Fund, cub mortality reaches 90%. Of those losses, 50% come from lions and hyenas, 30% from other predators like eagles, 10% from hunger and disease. While the mother is away, the cubs have no defender. Every hour Shira is gone is an hour her cubs could die. But if Shira does not go, they will die anyway, of hunger. She reaches the wildebeest herd after a 2-hour walk, 200 animals grazing in a shallow valley. Shira lies behind tall grass, her body gaunt, her coat no longer shining like last rainy season. She chooses her target, a 5-year-old female slightly apart from the herd. She launches 200 kilometers per hour. In 4 seconds, she reaches the wildebeest. But the wildebeest is no weakling. As Shira leaps for the throat, another wildebeest charges in to defend its herd mate. It throws its head up, and a sharp horn drives straight into her flank. She falls to the ground. Another head toss could have killed her on the spot, but the wildebeest is gone. The blood flows heavier. She lies still for 2 minutes, then slowly rises. A limping leg, empty stomach, no prey to bring back to her cubs. When she returns, 3 of the 4 cubs are still where she left them, trembling, starving, but alive. The 4th is gone. A leopard arrived while Shira was away. Shira lies down with the 3 remaining cubs. She has no milk. Her body lacks the energy to produce it from her last meal. The wound still bleeds. Tonight, she has nothing to give them. Tomorrow, if she is strong enough, she must hunt again. And this time, the size of the prey no longer matters. This is nature's truth. Not every mother wins, not every cub survives, but because mothers do not give up, cheetahs still remain on this planet. While a Mara mother has paid the highest price for picking her prey, in South America, another cat is pushing every skill it has to make a kill. The cougar, also called puma, mountain lion, or panther, is the only big cat in the Americas whose range stretches from Canada to Argentina. No mammal in the Western Hemisphere lives across so many habitats. A cougar can leap as high as a two-story building and run up to 70 kilometers per hour. But the cougar's story in modern American culture is not only about strength. We move deep into the forest, where one cougar is preparing for dinner. Let us call him the climber. The climber's target is a sloth, a name that says everything. Sloths spend 90% of their life hanging in trees. Curved claws lock onto branches like permanent hooks. They move so slowly that algae grows in their fur. A natural camouflage blending into the canopy. But there is one thing a sloth cannot do in a tree: defecate. About once a week, a sloth must climb down to the ground. It is the most dangerous moment of its life. Every second on the ground, it could be taken by a cougar, jaguar, or harpy eagle. Climber has waited for 3 hours beneath the tree. When the sloth begins to descend the trunk, Climber's hunting instinct ignites. Hanger is too far from the nearest branch to climb back in time. Instead, she crawls back up the trunk, an oak 30 meters tall. Climber jumps after her. A cougar's claws are 5 centimeters long, half as long as a sloth's. He climbs to 15 meters, then slips. His claws are not sharp enough to grip the smooth bark. Hanger climbs higher. Climber stands at the base of the tree looking up, and he seems to sense his weapons are not yet sharp enough. The puma begins to drag his claws back and forth, exactly like a samurai sharpening a blade on a whetstone. After 3 minutes of sharpening, Climber returns to the trunk, and this time, his sharper claws find their grip higher up. He climbs. She clings to a small branch, hanging upside down as she has done her whole life. Climber moves closer. His yellow eyes lock onto her. A cougar's canines are built to slide between 2 cervical vertebrae and sever the spinal cord. The bite is not lengthy. 1-2 seconds, and it is over. Climber carries the body to a lower branch and feeds carefully, piece by piece. He will not climb that high again. His claws have worn down from the sharpening, but the lesson stands. Instinct. Cunning helped Climber make this kill. But sometimes a clever idea is not enough. In the deep sea, there is a hunter that uses 9 brains to survive. The warm waters around the Hawaiian Islands hold one of the most beautiful coral ecosystems in the Pacific. Fish in every color, corals in every shape. and predators hidden in every crevice. This is the home of the day octopus, one of the most creatively brained creatures on the planet. Octopuses are not intelligent in the way we expect. They have the same neuron count as a dog, around 500 million. But only 1/3 sits in the central brain. The other 2/3 are spread across 8 arms. Each arm can taste, touch, and run basic movements independently from the rest of the body. An octopus truly has 9 brains. In 2024, scientists at the Marine Biological Laboratory announced a new discovery. Octopuses do not adapt by changing DNA. They do it by editing RNA in real time. When the ocean cools, an octopus can rewrite its protein expression, adapting instantly to the new temperature. For most animals, this kind of adaptation takes millions of years of evolution. Octopuses do it over lunch. Today, a young day octopus, Inkstar, hides inside a crevice in the reef. Her hunter has come too. A yellow-edged moray eel over 1 meter long, eyes dim, but sense of smell extraordinary. The moray eel is one of the few animals with 2 sets of jaws. The first jaw sits in the mouth. The second, called the pharyngeal jaws, sits deep in the throat and can shoot forward to drag prey toward the stomach. This is the bite that inspired the creature in the film Alien. Octopus is the moray's favorite meal. They will overturn coral branches for this signature dish. Inkstar is eating a small crab when the moray catches the scent of blood. Inkstar can change color in 1/10 of a second, but the moray follows scent. The moray's first jaw clamps onto one of Inkstar's arms. The second jaw fires forward, pulling her arm toward the moray's throat. She has 2 choices: die or cut her own arm loose. She chooses to give up the arm, a sharp muscle contraction at the base of the limb. The arm separates. The moray swallows it down. Here is something few creatures understand about the octopus. A severed arm does not die immediately. 2/3 of the octopus's neurons sit in its arms, and each arm has enough nervous system to function on its own. Inkstar's severed arm not only keeps contracting, it still senses what surrounds it. As the arm slides into the moray's mouth, the suckers grip the tongue and palate and begin to squeeze. The moray panics. An arm with no owner, no central brain, still fighting. In that moment, Inkstar plays her final move. Then she jets water through her siphon, a biological propulsion engine, and rockets out of the crevice at full speed. By the time the ink clears, the moray sees nothing. The octopus arm finally drops to the seabed, its neural connection fading after a few minutes. Inkstar has lost 1 arm, but she lives. And in the next 6 weeks, she will regrow that arm, complete, functional, fully reconnected to her central nervous system. A creature with no bones, no armor, no traditional weapons, has defeated a fearsome hunter with the very arm she lost. It may be the strangest survival solution evolution has ever produced. From the reefs of Hawaii to the golden plains of South Dakota, we return to a single country, where a bird Americans serve at Thanksgiving has just shown that brotherhood can sometimes outweigh the chance at fatherhood. The wild turkey is the central figure in a classic American conservation story. In the early 1930s, habitat loss and unchecked hunting drove the species near extinction. In 1937, Congress passed the Pittman-Robertson Act, placing an excise tax on firearms and ammunition, with the revenue funding wildlife habitat restoration. To date, the law has invested over $5 billion in conservation projects. The results were spectacular. By the early 2010s, the U.S. wild turkey population had recovered to nearly 7 million. Tonight's story unfolds in South Dakota, a state with around 50,000 wild turkeys. Wild turkeys have an unusual social structure. They leave the nest at 6 months old and form sibling bands. Each band typically holds 3 to 5 blood brothers. In the band, only one bird mates, the dominant brother, known as Big Bro. The others, the underdogs, will never father their own offspring. But they stay. They protect Big Bro. They fight when needed. Today, 2 sibling bands meet at a crossroads. Let us call the home band the local gang. 4 brothers born in 2021. Their Big Bro is Iron Beard, named for the long, metal dark beard on his chest. The visitors, the out-of-town posse, are 4 brothers from the next territory, led by Steel Spurs. When the 2 Big Bros face each other, the game begins. They puff their chests, red-pink feathers swell up. They gobble loud. They stomp their feet in rhythm, a 3-beat pulse, repeated. This is the declaration. They are ready to die to defend mating rights. Then the first blow lands. Steel Spurs charges into Iron Beard with a wing slam and a spur strike. Steel Spurs drives in to finish the fight with a beak lock. Jaws joined until one bird gives out. At that moment, one little bro from the local gang charges in. Pebble will never mate. No one waits for him in any nest. He is only the 3rd in his family. But sibling instinct drives him forward. Within 30 seconds, a gang war erupts. 4 turkey males beating, kicking, pecking each other. Blood is drawn. After 2 minutes, Steel Spurs goes down. The out-of-town posse withdraws, dragging their fallen Big Bro with them. Pebble will never have children, but tonight, 12 hens of the neighborhood have chosen the local gang. 12 sets of Iron Beard's genes will pass on, and part of those genes belongs to Pebble because they are blood brothers. Sometimes sacrifice has no personal reward. Sometimes standing behind another is how your bloodline continues. 8 battles, 4 ecosystems, 2 hemispheres, 1 shared law. Tonight, the giants fought not for a prize, but for the bloodline, for the cub at their side, for the blood brother, for the land they have lived on, for one more salmon run, one more mating season, one more generation. When titans clash, the strongest does not always win. Sometimes, the winner is the one who knows when to retreat. Sometimes, it is the one who accepts defeat to save the family. Sometimes it is a creature with no central brain. And sometimes, it is a younger brother who will never have children of his own. Tonight's battle is over, but somewhere on the Yellowstone plains, a grizzly mother is teaching her cub its first steps toward the Salmon River. And the next battle has already begun. Yellowstone National Park, January. They call this place the Serengeti of North America, but at this moment, it looks more like a dead planet than a grassland. Winter here is a siege. At elevations between 1,600 and 2,000 meters, the land becomes the basin that catches polar air sweeping down from Canada. Snow piles up, layer upon layer, until depth exceeds 1.5 meters. In 2026, a strong Arctic oscillation drove temperatures to a record minus 40 degrees Celsius. But within this extreme cold, life persists. At Mammoth Hot Springs, the travertine terraces create a strange thermal paradox. Water erupts from the earth at 80 degrees Celsius, flowing into the Gardner River and keeping it from fully freezing. These thermal oases now draw 20% more wildlife than they did a decade ago. For humans, it is the opposite. Against a peak summer count of around 3,000 residents and workers, winter reduces the human population to just a few hundred. They protect Yellowstone and keep it running in its original wild state. Now we move to the most visited site of all. Old Faithful. Every 90 minutes, it releases thousands of liters of boiling water. Each column rises more than 50 meters into the air. Where does this hot water come from? We are standing on one of the most unstable regions of Earth's crust. Beneath the snow and warm streams lies a presence vast enough to alter the climate of the entire planet. Everything we have seen so far, the geothermal warmth, the strange survival of so many species, is only a surface sign of a breathing giant. A supervolcano is sleeping, but its breath is what runs the entire Yellowstone ecosystem. In Yellowstone National Park, since the establishment 153 years ago, life and death have held a fragile pact. The entire central section of the park is in fact a caldera, a massive volcanic depression. It is so vast that one could stand inside the crater and never realize it. A giant pit formed when the Earth collapsed into itself after some of the most violent eruptions in planetary history. Beneath the peaceful bison herds lies an energy engine on a planetary scale. A column of molten rock, known as a hotspot, continuously pushes heat from deep within Earth toward the surface. Two magma chambers sit stacked like a massive hourglass. The shallow chamber lies just 5 to 17 kilometers below the surface. Below it, a second chamber 4.5 times larger holds enough molten rock to fill the Grand Canyon more than 10 times over. This tremendous heat warms the groundwater, building the pressure that drives Old Faithful and the brilliant colors of the hot springs. Yellowstone's history is written in VEI-8 catastrophes, the highest level on the Volcanic Explosivity Index. The first eruption, 2.1 million years ago, released ash enough to cover nearly half of North America. The most recent, 640,000 years ago, shaped the landscape we see today. Every time this giant sneezes, global climate shifts. If it awakens, the result would be a brutal geological reset. The ground would burst from within. The entire vibrant ecosystem would be erased instantly by pyroclastic flows reaching 800 degrees Celsius. Within a 100-kilometer radius, life would simply vaporize into ash. 3/4 of the United States would drown in gray snow. Not real snow, tiny shards of rock and volcanic glass. Heavy enough to collapse buildings, clog every living lung, and bring down the entire national power grid. But the real disaster lies in the stratosphere. Billions of tons of sulfur gas would form a giant sunshade around Earth, blocking sunlight. Global temperatures would plunge, summer would vanish, and famine would spread as crops failed worldwide. Yellowstone is not just a volcano, it is a planetary reset button. However, data from the Yellowstone Volcano Observatory in early 2026 shows the volcano is still breathing normally. The ground rises and falls a few centimeters each year, showing the magma system below is shifting and balancing pressure steadily. The real danger of Yellowstone today does not lie in magma. It lies in water. Thermal explosions, like the dramatic event at Biscuit Basin in 2024, are reminders of the force of underground steam pressure. When superheated water exceeds the limits of the surrounding rock, it becomes a natural explosive. In 2026, geologists watched temperature shifts at hot springs closely. The line between a peaceful visitor site and a steam explosion is only a few degrees Celsius. This natural heating system gives life to wildlife in winter and serves as a fuse always ready to ignite. As if bound to a survival pact with nature, the bison standing near Old Faithful do not flinch. This is the only U.S. population to retain genetic continuity from the Pleistocene. They belong here. Their fur has an extremely high fiber density, acting as a near-perfect insulation layer. Insulation is so effective that snow on their backs keeps its crystal form, never melted by body heat. For a plains bison, minus 40 degrees is only a mild inconvenience. The real threat is hunger. Beneath the snow layer over 1 meter deep lies precious dry grass, but reaching it takes extraordinary strength. They use a massive head weighing up to 200 kilograms as leverage in a behavior called snow plowing. Powerful neck muscles let them sweep aside thick snow to find food. It is hard labor, but does the grass found repay the energy spent? And so, oases like Old Faithful become a paradise full of traps. Geothermal warmth keeps the ground bare, grass available without digging. But this favor has a price. Standing too long in dense sulfur fumes seriously damages their lungs. Silica and toxic chemicals from the geysers wear down their teeth at a terrifying rate. A bison living elsewhere in Yellowstone can reach 20 to 25 years. But those that choose life around the geysers usually live only 10 to 12 years. Even so, the Plains bison population in 2026 remains stable at 5,500 individuals. Winter is not over. These giants can endure the cold, but they are not the only ones. Moving away from the sulfurous energy of Old Faithful, we journey toward the north. In Mammoth, the geothermal warmth feels more modest. It stays tucked away within the serene limestone terraces. This is a labyrinth of stone and ice, where every sound is hushed by the minus 30 degrees Celsius chill. In this stark white world, thriving is for those who fly under the radar. Upon the sheer cliffs bordering the human settlement, a silent spirit keeps watch. Cougar. For an adult male, his territory can span up to 800 square kilometers. We have known them as the ultimate masters of the ambush. A single leap can carry them 12 meters across or 5.5 meters high in just one breath. Throughout most of this continent, the cougar stands at the pinnacle of the food chain. Yet in Yellowstone National Park, when winter lingers for half the year and the biting cold reigns supreme, pride can be a rare luxury. Cougars must make use of remains buried deep in the snow. Scavenging accounts for 10% to 15% of a cougar's total nourishment during the winter. They are the most clever opportunists in the Mammoth region, simply playing the cards they're dealt. Even when grizzly bears leave behind their leftovers to hibernate, the cougar will be the first to visit that remaining banquet. To endure is the only true glory in Yellowstone. This holds true for the bobcat as well. This feline is smaller than the cougar, yet it is even more adept at looking after its own well-being. The bobcat possesses one of the most efficient insulation structures in the Felidae family. Its dense undercoat has an incredibly high fiber count, making up 80% of its fur mass to create a barrier against heat loss. Even when the air drops to minus 30 degrees Celsius, its skin surface remains steady at 37.5 degrees Celsius. This allows it to engage in one of the most daring behaviors for a cat, hunting in unfrozen geothermal streams. While its paws are small, the thick fur on its pads minimizes contact with the frost, keeping its body warm while it waits in the water for hours. Fishing in moving water is quite a challenge. The bobcat must account for light refraction to find exactly where its meal is hiding beneath the surface. Its strike reaches over 10 meters per second, powered by specialized fast-twitch muscle fibers and showing that this feline is sharp as a tack. In the winter of 2026, with land rodent populations down by 15% due to frozen snow, switching to fish is a strategic move. Each catch provides roughly 150 kilocalories, enough to keep its strength up for 12 hours. A solitary, proud hunter relies on these small gains to stay nourished before a better opportunity arises. It will eat until its stomach is full, a natural way to store energy for the lean weeks ahead. Leaving the limestone labyrinth, we follow the warmth toward the Lamar Valley. There, the restless river awaits other swimming experts who turn the art of staying alive into a clever game. Welcome to Lamar Valley, where the snowstorms of 2026 are rewriting the rules of survival. Under the Arctic Oscillation, cold here is no longer a weather concept. It is a ruthless biological filter. In this white kingdom, a gray ghost rules the nightmares of every herbivore. Northwestern wolf. People often praise their muscle, but here, muscle is only the second tool behind collective intelligence. The Wapiti Lake Pack is one of the most battle-tested units ever recorded in Yellowstone National Park. They are tactical experts who understand that a head-on fight with a one-ton Plains bison is biological suicide. The harsh reality, their bison hunt success rate is only 10 to 15%. For every 10 attacks, they walk away empty-stomached 8 or 9 times. A snow roast feast is therefore not just a hunt, it is a reward for persistence beyond limit. This standoff has lasted more than 10 hours. The old bull bison understands the ground is the enemy's domain. He chooses the extreme. Retreat into the Firehole River. With air at minus 25 degrees Celsius, the swift current is the only hope for keeping fangs at bay. But nature rarely offers free salvation. This water drains body heat dozens of times faster than air. The Wapiti Lake Pack knows this well. They wait on the bank, watching their prey freeze from within by its own choice. A war of patience. At last, as darkness falls, the bison collapses from exhaustion and hypothermia before the pack can deliver the final bite. A victory of attrition. The northwestern wolf is the largest gray wolf subspecies, with adult males reaching up to 70 kilograms. But their true secret is not muscle, it is foot structure. These oversized paws act as natural snowshoes, distributing weight and moving easily on soft snow, while heavier prey sinks and tires. The Wapiti Lake Pack's most fearsome weapon is mathematical persistence. With a bite force near 1,500 newtons at the molars, they can crush an adult elk's femur. Yet their hunt success rate stays only around 10 to 15%. This makes every hunt a brutal energy gamble. Wolves do not need to outrun prey in a single sprint. They only need to outlast it in a marathon stretching for hours. In the kingdom of negative temperatures, the victor is the one whose heartbeat stays steadiest when the rival finally falls. The true king of the savannah has returned to the throne. This is the African savannah, a vast stage for the greatest epic of life. Here, power takes many forms. But three predators have shaped the rules. They are rival dynasties, each with its own survival strategy. They are the lion, the leopard, and the hyena. A struggle for dominance that has played out for millennia. At the top of this order stands the lion, a symbol of power and discipline. Their dynasty is built not on individuals, but on family strength. A lion pride functions like a true military unit, with loyalty and roles clearly defined. When a large prey like a Cape buffalo falls, an iron order is set instantly. The dominant male always eats first. That is the absolute privilege of the ruler, whether he joined the hunt or not. To protect this rich food source and the future of their bloodline, males form a brotherhood coalition. They patrol tirelessly, a living steel wall against every intruder. Because in this fiercely competitive land, blood ties are the only key to keeping the throne. In contrast to the lion's formal order is the world of the spotted hyena, a land of meticulously organized chaos. Do not let appearance deceive you. Hyenas are remarkably successful hunters, with a success rate over 60%. This is a complex matriarchy where females hold supreme power inside a maze of shifting status. If lions rely on unity, for hyenas, unity is a foreign idea. Their eerie laugh is not a sound of joy, but a declaration of strength and presence. With a bite force reaching 2,000 pounds, they are the most thorough scavengers of all. From bone to horn to hoof, everything is crushed by their powerful digestion. In a hyena clan, sharing is a luxury. This is a brutal free market economy. The fastest survive, yet this fierce competition becomes the strange glue that holds the group together. While the lion's roar declares authority and the hyena's laugh spreads chaos, a third ruler chooses absolute silence. This is the leopard, ghost of the savannah. In the leopard's world, there is no pride, no ally. Its only strategy is to become invisible. The leopard's strength lies in solitude, but this is also its fatal weakness. With no one to defend it, a small wound can be a death sentence. And so it does not chase with hyena-like fervor. It measures every millimeter, reading the landscape like a survival architect. When the leopard strikes, the prey rarely knows what happened. And to protect its prize from opportunistic thieves, it performs an extraordinary feat of strength. An animal weighing about 130 pounds can haul prey nearly twice its body weight high up into the branches, hide to approach, vanish to finish. That is the ghost's supreme rule. To survive among giants, this big cat has chosen a unique strategy: to rule the vertical world. If the ground is a chessboard full of lion and hyena traps, the acacia is the only move that lets the leopard escape their deadly game. In the eyes of this solitary hunter, a tree is more than a plant. It is a fortress, but the fortress only opens its gate to those who hold the key of skill. The leopard's body is a masterpiece of adaptation, with fast twitch muscle fibers and a clavicle-free shoulder offering rare flexibility. This is its passport into the upper layers of the savannah. In contrast, the lion is built to rule the ground. Their shoulder structure must withstand massive impact from buffalo, weighing up to 1,600 pounds. A lioness can climb on occasion, but turning a treetop into a home is a different story. The leopard is the only big cat that can survive within the lion's realm, thanks to this extraordinary ability. But the acacia cannot shield it forever. Each time the leopard descends to drink or move, its survival clock starts ticking. It is a battle of unequal strength. 420 pounds of lion against just 130 pounds of leopard. In this land, mercy is a glitch in the genetic code. The lion maintains power through strength. The leopard maintains life through shade and cunning. If the lion is a destructive threat, the hyena is a persistent thief. Between leopard and hyena, there is a fragile, temporary truce based on harsh calculations of calories and time. When no carcass is in play, they may ignore each other to save energy. But when the scent of blood fills the air, every rule is torn up. The hyena arrives like a robber waiting to steal the artist's hard-won prize. The leopard has paid for every piece of meat with sweat and patience. If robbed repeatedly, it will starve. In this moment, the tree becomes a biological safe. While the hyena's pelvis is optimized for long-distance ground endurance, it is helpless at climbing. High in the branches, the leopard can finally enjoy its meal in peace. A victory of agility over crowd strength. This relationship is a constant cycle of tension between individual technique and collective persistence. But that balance does not last forever. When the harsh, dry season turns the last water holes to thick mud, a new phase begins. Running is no longer an option. Direct confrontation becomes inevitable. When hunger and thirst exceed every limit, the old rules are erased and the bloodiest chapter of the savannah begins. The fight for power is not waged only by these three dynasties. We have just shared some raw glimpses into how wildlife across the continents strive to persevere. Which creature in today's episode gave you some food for thought regarding the natural world? Was it the brotherhood of the lion or the cleverness of the cougar? Please share your own experiences in the comments section. Your understanding serves as a heartfelt tribute to these wild creatures. Remember to hit like and subscribe to join me on my next field trips, where we will continue to unlock the most mysterious secrets of endurance. And if you want to discover more about other wildlife, keep exploring at Win or Die, full episode. Deadliest Battles for Survival or Lion Attack, the Mapogo Battle for Survival.